Hi, so these are the notes on parallel and perpendicular lines. So first we're going to talk about the word parallel. Parallel means that they have the same slope, right? And if they're vertical, that means for sure that they are parallel. So parallel are like train tracks. You've probably heard that from your teacher before, that in order to run, they have to have the same slope. So you can see three lines that are parallel here. They each have 2 as their slope. Right, so we can do some very quick check here. If we know that our equation of 1 is y equals 1/6 x plus 4, and if we know this is our slope, then we know that our parallel slope would be 1/6. Same is true here. If our slope is 7, then our parallel slope is 7. If our slope is 1/2, then our parallel slope is 1/2. If our slope is -3, then our parallel is -3. And our first slope is, there doesn't look like there's anything there. You can remember there's an imaginary 1. So our slope would be 1. So when I'm writing an equation, it often tells me a point that it's going through. And then it also tells me if it's parallel or perpendicular. In this case, it's parallel, runs like train tracks. So I know it's going to have the same slope. So I know that my new line is going to have my slope of 3/4. I also know that it's going to go through this point here, and if 3, 7 is my point, that means that x is 3 and y is 7. I can use my equation y equals mx plus b, and I can substitute in numbers that I know. So I know that 3/4 is m, so I'm going to substitute 3m, 3/4 in for m. I know that x is 3, so I'm going to substitute in 3 instead of x. And then I know that y is 7, so I'm going to substitute in 7 for y. I notice that there's still a plus b here, so I need to write that plus b right here. That's what we're solving for right now. So we're going to go ahead and solve for our y-intercept. And so I'm going to calculate this. This is 3 times 3 would make 9/4 equals 7 plus b. 9/4 is the same as 2.25. I could do that on my calculator. So I could use the decimal version here. So I'm going to subtract 2.25 on each side. 2.25. And that's going to give me 4.75 is equal to b. So when I go to write my equation is going to be y equals, I have to have the same slope, remember, because they're parallel, 3/4 x, and this is my new b, so plus 4.75. That's my new equation. So I'm going to go to my b, which is like close to 5, slightly under 5, right? 4.75. And then I'm going to go up 3, so 1, 2, 3, and over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And put a point right there. I could do the same thing, but I'm running out of room. So then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a point right there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a point right there. I can go ahead and draw my line straight through here. And that is how I would graph the line that is parallel to this equation here, y equals 3/4 x minus 5. Okay, so parallel means same slope, right? They have the same slope. That's what parallel means, right? Train tracks, just like this line and that line there, are parallel to each other. Perpendicular is the opposite of parallel, or is another word that we can use to describe two lines. And we say that they're parallel if their slopes are negative reciprocals of each other, right? So they're opposites, and one is positive and one is negative. So reciprocal means to flip the fraction, right? So fraction flipped. So in this case, we can see that there's a 2. The green line has a 2 slope, and the red line has a -1/2 slope. Those are negative reciprocals of each other, right? One is negative and one is positive. And then one is 2 over 1 and the other is 1 over 2. So in this case, if I have 6 over 1, the perpendicular slope would be 1. I'm sorry, if I have 1 over 6, then the perpendicular slope would be 6 over 1. Or we can just write 6. So in this case, I have negative 7 is my slope. Then my opposite slope would be 1 over negative 7. Because when we look at this slope here, this is technically over 1. Whole number is over 1, right? If I have 1/2, I'm going to flip the fraction, 2 over 1, and it needs to be negative because the first one is positive. I can simplify that to negative 2. This is negative 3 over 1. I'm going to flip that fraction, turns into 1 over 3. This one should be positive because the last one is negative. And then I have 1 again there. So 1 over 1 is the slope here. So the reciprocal slope is still 1 over 1, but this time it's negative. So if we started as a positive, we should be turning into a negative. Whoa, better fix my mistake up here. Go ahead and fix that mistake for this one. It should be negative 6. And then if I started out negative, I should see that I have a positive answer here, guys. Wow, let's go ahead and update this. This should be positive 7 because I had a negative 7 here. So it should be positive 7 there. So this should be equal to 1/7 positive. I have a positive version here, so I should have a negative version here. I have a negative version here, so I should have a positive version here. And I have a positive version here, so I should have a negative version here. That was tricky. Sorry about that. So, when we're thinking about our perpendicular slope, we're thinking, when it says perpendicular, we're thinking opposite. And we're thinking a minus is turning into a positive, and a positive is turning into a negative. So let's look at our slope first. So this is our old slope. We want perpendicular, so we're going to turn it from negative 2 or 3 over 2 to positive 2 over 3. That is going to be my new slope. So 2 over 3. So I have y equals 2 over 3, because I'm using my new slope, x plus b. But we need to know what b is, so we're going to use my x and y from my equation to fill in x and y in my equation. So I have negative 6 is my y, and I have 2/3, my slope, times x, which is 5, plus b. So in this case, I'm going to multiply. 2 times 5 is 10 over 3. And then I have a positive 10/3. I'm going to subtract 10/3 on both sides. I can do this in my calculator. I can do it with a decimal if I want. And I'm going to get, I do negative 6 minus 10 over 3 in my calculator. I should get negative 28/3 if I do math enter. I get equals b. So I have y equals 2/3 x minus 28 over 3. 28 over 3 is roughly 9.33333 forever. So I know that that's pretty close to negative 10. In between negative 9 and negative 10 here. And I'm going to go up 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3, put a point. Up 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3, put a point. Up 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3, put a point. And then I have my straight line here. So I can see that it's going through the point 5, negative 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That point right there. And I know that it's perpendicular because it has the opposite slope. Right? It has the opposite slope. Cool. Thanks, guys. Ask questions.